The moment Teddy Swims stepped onto the brightly lit stage, the energy in the room shifted in a way that was almost impossible to explain. The audience applauded loudly, some cheering his name, others simply swept up in the warmth he usually carried with him. Teddy smiled, that familiar wide grin flashing beneath the studio lights, and gave a small wave as he settled into the chair across from Kelly Clarkson. At first, everything felt normal, comfortable even. Kelly, relaxed and bubbly as always, welcomed him with enthusiasm, praising his recent performances and the emotional depth of his music. Teddy nodded along, thanking her sincerely, his voice calm, his posture open. To anyone watching, it looked like another friendly daytime interview. But beneath that easy surface, something unspoken lingered. Teddy's smile didn't fully reach his eyes, and those who knew him well might have noticed the slight tension in his shoulders. Kelly transitioned smoothly into a discussion about his latest tour, mentioning how fans had been reacting passionately to his new songs. She laughed lightly, adding a comment about how raw emotion was becoming a trend in the industry again. Teddy chuckled at first, but then Kelly followed it up with a remark that landed differently than she probably intended, suggesting that his vulnerability was unexpected, given his image. There was a brief pause. Teddy tilted his head, still smiling, but the air between them changed. He responded carefully, saying that vulnerability wasn't a trend for him, it was who he was. The audience murmured softly, sensing a shift but unsure why. Kelly nodded, attempting to clarify, yet her words seemed to circle the same idea, framing his openness as something surprising rather than intentional. Teddy's hands folded together tightly in his lap, his fingers interlacing as if grounding himself. As the conversation moved forward, Kelly brought up Teddy's early struggles, referencing interviews where he had spoken about rejection and self-doubt. Normally, Teddy was open about his past, but the way the topic was introduced felt different, more pointed, less empathetic. She asked whether those struggles still haunted him on stage, whether the pain was something he relied on to connect with audiences. The question lingered in the air longer than expected. Teddy inhaled slowly before answering. He spoke about growth, about healing, about how his music came from love as much as pain. His tone remained respectful, but a firmness had crept in. The audience grew quieter, hanging on every word. Kelly smiled again, trying to keep things light, yet she pushed once more, joking that heartbreak and hardship sold better than happiness. A few nervous laughs rippled through the crowd. That was when Teddy's smile faded. He leaned forward slightly, resting his elbows on his knees, and looked directly at Kelly. His voice didn't rise, but it carried weight. He said that reducing someone's story to what sells misses the point of why artists share their truth in the first place. He explained that his experiences weren't tools for entertainment, they were real moments that shaped him as a person. The studio felt still, as if everyone had collectively held their breath. Kelly blinked, clearly caught off guard. She attempted to respond, assuring him she hadn't meant any harm, but the words came out rushed. The warmth she usually commanded struggled to return. Teddy nodded politely, yet his expression remained serious. He added that he had spent years learning to protect his peace, and that meant setting boundaries, even in places that were supposed to feel safe. The audience was silent now. Cameras slowly zoomed in, capturing the intensity on Teddy's face and the flicker of concern in Kelly's eyes. Producers, off-camera, exchanged uneasy glances. This wasn't the playful tension daytime TV thrived on, this felt personal. Kelly tried to pivot, suggesting they talk about his upcoming projects instead. But the moment had already shifted too far. Teddy sat back in his chair, exhaling deeply. He thanked her for the platform, his voice steady but distant, and said he believed conversations mattered, but only when they came from understanding. His words were calm, yet final, like a door gently closing. There was an awkward beat. Kelly nodded slowly, offering another apology, this time more sincere, but Teddy had already made his decision. He rose from his chair, the movement unhurried but deliberate. Gasps echoed softly through the audience as he adjusted his jacket and gave a small, respectful nod toward Kelly. He didn't look angry, just resolved. As he walked toward the edge of the stage, the applause that followed was hesitant at first, then grew louder, filled with confusion and emotion. Teddy paused briefly, turning back as if considering whether to say more. For a split second, it seemed like he might. Instead, he simply offered a quiet smile to the crowd, A smile that carried gratitude, disappointment, and strength all at once, before continuing off stage, leaving behind a studio buzzing with unanswered questions and a moment that would be talked about long after the cameras stopped rolling.